Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. So I'm going to talk about a pretty touchy subject, but I want to talk about how sometimes actions can be done without thinking them through. So it's a big hot button right now in the world about women's health or women's rights. And one of the subjects that I want to talk on is about terminating pregnancies. And the reasons behind terminating pregnancies. Okay, so the one thing that I want to talk about is when you suffer trauma, like say rape or incest. You know, these people that are not really pro-life, but they make exceptions, right? They make exceptions. Okay, and then you have women that just use it for birth control because they're not being responsible. And so, we have lack of prevention, an ounce of prevention. So, but accidents happen. Accidents happen. But the question is what do we do? We have a happy accident. So anyway, my point that I want to get to is I want to get behind, go deeper into this subject and what it truly means, or what I personally think that it means when you terminate a pregnancy. Okay, so there is a soul that's entering into this fetus. Okay, and there are soul contracts and everything that have already been written up for this baby, the soul to come into this baby. It's already been done on the other side. We just don't realize it because we're living in this lower dimensional reality, and so we're not aware of all of our higher selves that are doing all this other work and sending things down the chute for us, so to get us on our path. So, I talk a lot about negative forces being here and harvesting our energy. And one of the ways that I feel like we get stuck in a karmic loop is because we're not working out our trauma or our karma when we're on this planet. So if you don't work out your karma and trauma during your life on Earth, you cannot get off Earth. You have to take care of all your BS on the planet Earth, because you can't go into a higher dimensional reality and have karma or trauma attached to your genetics. So these lower dimensional beings that dwell here, they don't want to ascend, and so we have a problem here where we have groups of people that actually know about the fabric of reality and that they want to stay here because they don't want to go back into a spirit body. They want to stay in a physical and be able to partake in all the gluttonies of life. And you have other people here that just have no clue because we're wiped when we're born here. And then our morphinogenic field has been manipulated intentionally by these beings that don't want to ascend. So it's kind of like we're going around in a circle here. So one of the ways is that there's a lot of traps. There's a lot of traps where there are blood oaths that are made and blood covenants. And we talked about on my video where I talked about our blood being programs, I talked about how we ended up getting ourselves stuck here was by signing our soul contracts in blood. Signing contracts in blood because we wanted to be able to have sex on this planet before our sexual reproductive organs were not hooked up. So they signed these oaths with their blood, and so this put blood covenants on our bloodlines. And this is why you have karma and things like this that happen in bloodlines. Some people call them curses, but it's attachments onto bloodlines. And one of these ways is, you have to consent. You have to give your consent, just like all the stuff that's in media and whatnot. All of this music that's very low vibrational. You really have to consent to all this stuff, and you can be tricked. Well, one of these ways is terminating pregnancies. Because say, for example, you have a very prestigious job and you get pregnant. And you decide that you're going to terminate the pregnancy because your job is so important that you don't have time. You're aiming for your career. You don't have time to be a mother. Okay. So say you have a procedure. Okay. So basically what that exchange was here was that material things were more important than the soul. So you made an oath agreement with blood because that was your child, and it's a baby. It's not a fetus is a baby, but it's it's a trade-off. Or say you just can't afford it. That's a trade-off. That's the opposite end of being monetarily prosperous and having a highfalutin job, is that you don't have enough because you've not manifested enough, maybe, or maybe you're not using the universe to your advantage. So there's all kind of things that happen. You see how that happens, So, I mean, one of the things is that, and I have family members. My grandmother, she said that she was taking care of the child souls in her dimension because, and, a friend of mine, she said the same thing, that her daughter had to go back home because she had to run the nursery for all the babies' souls that were being aborted. So, it's an interesting subject that really people need to look at from a spiritual perspective, because blood oaths are, blood covenants, that's no joke. I mean, where you think that the handshake that we used to all give each other, we'd be blood brothers and sisters, we'd cut our hand. I mean, that stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. It's because blood is very special and unique. So, I mean, that's just something that I wanted to touch on because, I think that it's become so politicized, however you want to say it, politicized, and people get themselves whipped up in such a frenzy about women's reproductive rights. And I find it insane that we have people that are going nuts over something like this. All you got to do is not partake in too much, or prevent that ahead of time, ounce of prevention. So with that, I'm going to end this video. 7 minutes, extremely touchy subject, but yeah, I think there are blood covenants with terminations of pregnancy. And as far as women that miscarry their babies, the way that I understand that is that at the last minute, that soul decides it's not ready for the contract, and that they got to go back and regroup. And that totally makes sense to me. It's just that we don't understand it. And so when a woman loses a child, it's very traumatic, and even when you terminate, it's very traumatic. I know people that have terminated pregnancies, and they're still grieving tremendously about it. So it's no joke. It's no joke. So the thing is that all of those blood oaths have to be renounced. And with that, I love to hear what you think. This is a pretty hot topic, but it's something that really needs to be looked at. We really got to start having these conversations because it's important. And as long as people are at each other's throats about issues, there's no conversations ever happening. And, communication, and the more people that communicate together, the greater ideas become. It's the way that the universe works. So when you come and find me, I'll be here. We're living in the past, present, future, all at the same time. And so I hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.